What's up, Kryptonians? So today I'm going to be talking about a working man, and as you can see, I am not in my usual set and location. I'm actually out of town visiting my family. I'm in my brother's room right now. I do apologize for the lighting. This is about the best I could get with materials that I have. I did want to squeeze one review out while I'm out of town. This review today is going to be talking about A Working Man. So A Working Man is directed by David Ayer. You should know who David Ayer is at this point, and of course it stars Jason Statham. These two last collaborated on The Beekeeper, which came out a couple of years ago, so this is like their second straight collab. And this movie also stars Michael Pena and David Harbour. The basic setup for this movie is exactly what you would expect. Jason Statham in this movie plays a man named Levin Cade. Levin Cade is a former British military guy. He has since left that life behind, and he is now working for this construction company, and he's trying to provide for his daughter. And then all of a sudden, human traffickers kidnap the daughter of the owners of this company, and they of course ask Jason Statham to do it, and Jason Statham's like, well, I'm not going to turn down a paycheck. Thus, we have, you know, another one of those movies. Like, you know what this movie is. There's not a single thing about the synopsis that I just gave you that is surprising to you. You saw Jason Statham, you probably saw a trailer, you saw David Ayers directing it. You know exactly what they're going to do. You know the whole formula down to a science at this point. You have not only seen this movie, you have seen it multiple times. You have not only seen it multiple times, you saw it a few times a few years ago when The Beekeeper came out. It's a Jason Statham action movie, and guess what? It does what a Jason Statham action movie does. That is to say, the action in the movie is actually pretty good. It's well filmed. I like the cuts. I like the impact of the hits. The tension was missing a little bit because there were some action scenes where it feels like Jason Statham has it in his contract where he can't get hit and he can't get bothered. I'm okay with guys like surviving things in this movie, but obviously they play it up a little bit. Like, there are some parts where he's not even bothering to dodge the bullets, and it's like, do you care if you get hit by the bullets? Bottom line is, the action in this movie is fun, it's in camera, it's well filmed, it's David Ayer. He usually does a really good job at shooting his action scenes and stitching them together. And Jason Statham is playing the exact same character that Jason Statham plays, and he can play this character in his sleep at times. Honestly, sometimes it feels like he is. That is to say, it's a very workmanlike performance, which makes sense being that the movie is called A Working Man. He's putting in his 9 to 5 here. I'll also say this, Ariana Rivas, she plays the daughter that gets kidnapped. She gave a better performance than I was expecting in this movie. I was low-key kind of just expecting her to be the kidnapped person, but she actually gets to do quite a bit more than I was expecting in this movie, so there is that. I do think the movie does a pretty good job at establishing not only Jason Statham's character, but his relationship with his daughter and his friends. They do a good job at establishing why he would feel emotional about this, why he would care so much to go out of his way to risk his life. When the action is hitting in the movie, it is relentless. There are car chases, motorcycle chases, gunfights, fist fights, like the whole 9 yards. Because it is a Jason Statham movie, and because you have seen The Beekeeper, probably, and because it's David Ayer, and this is the type of action movie that he's been making lately, nothing that I just said should feel that surprising to you. Beyond the fact that it's very predictable and you know what's going to happen because you've seen it happen before, there are other issues that are kind of lurking under the surface of this one. For starters, I do feel like the villains in this movie are kind of a disappointment. If you're going to have villains in a movie like this and you're going to mix a little bit of 90s cheese in there, I feel like the villains have to either be dynamic personalities or they have to be total badasses in the action scenes, or they have to be a combination of those things. The villains in this movie are just not very memorable. They don't really stand out. You don't give a shit about them or their performance or anything. They're just kind of there to be killed. If we compare it directly to The Beekeeper, which came out a couple of years ago, I remember feeling there were more distinct, memorable personalities in that movie. They're just generic Russian baddies, and you've seen generic Russian baddies in every action movie ever made. There is a small thing that I dislike that they did when it comes to how they depict the moral ethics of going after human traffickers. They try to use Jason Statham's daughter as kind of like a proxy for why he would care about the human traffickers and what they're doing. I feel like you could have gone for a more empathetic approach here, and you could have just made it a little bit more genuine, made it more about his relationship with these people and with their daughter, but they decided to go the extra mile, and it kind of dilutes the message a little bit. That's a small thing. The biggest thing that holds this movie back is how convoluted the story actually gets. It's not that the movie is like hard to follow or that it's confusing, but there is a little bit too much going on at a certain point. There are a bunch of subplots that start entering into the fray, and they're fighting for each other's attention. The runtime is 2 hours, so it kind of makes the movie feel longer. I was sitting there and I was getting a little bit bored watching this movie because I'm just like, I don't think you needed to do all of this. I feel like you could have cut a large portion of this out and the movie wouldn't have changed that much. This is a movie that needed to be an hour and a half, and it needed to feel like an hour and a half, and unfortunately it's like an hour and 50 something minutes, and it feels like 2.5 hours. It's Jason Statham the movie. You've seen it before, you know what to expect. There's nothing here that's gonna knock your socks off. A Working Man was solid entertainment, but nothing special. I'm gonna leave this one in the Fortress of Solitude. Tell me, have you seen it? What did you think about it? Give me your favorite David Ayer movie of all time. If you're one of those people that don't like David Ayer, give me your favorite Jason Statham movie of all time. We can talk about that too. Please like and subscribe to the Superfan Show, and if you like what you see, tell me how you feel, and stay tuned to hear more from the Man of Steel. Peace.